All right, so I just want to say welcome everybody to the Climate and Sustainability Open House. This is our third open house that we've held, and we're really excited to have you here. I always like to kind of get a sense and a gauge of the room. Raise your hand if you think you've come the furthest. Where? Costa Rica. Anybody further? Anybody? Where? Chile. Welcome. Are you sustainability management? Awesome. Okay, you're going to stay put right here. That's brilliant. Anybody else feels they came pretty far? Where? Syracuse. Okay, that's far. That's upstate, Yeah, sure. It's another world, Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm going to just quickly go over the agenda with you and kind of explain the nature of today because there's a lot of dynamic activities going on. So first and foremost, the first 30 minutes, we're just going to give you kind of a broad overview of Columbia Climate School itself and the partner programs. And again, I like to say it's very much a preview. Think of them as like tight movie trailers for each program, so to speak. And then we're going to move into a faculty panel starting at 9:30 a.m., followed by a current student panel. The current student panel is going to be 4 students representing 4 of our current programs that are active today. And then we move into a degree program breakout session. And I'm going to explain that shortly. I love a lot of you guys were coming up to me saying, which one should I attend? We'll have a brief conversation about it. At 12:45, you're going to have 2 options. The day could end at 12:45 for you, or alternatively, you might say, I want a tour of the Morningside Heights campus. Great. You'll go ahead and meet our current students downstairs, and they'll provide you a 45-minute to 1-hour tour of Morningside Heights. The other option, and I think it's the most exciting option, is going to Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory. So any of you guys that have a green sticker on your name tags, you've reserved your seat for Lamont. That's your magic ticket. But I will say this, we have a couple seats open on the shuttle bus. So if anybody is interested in potentially taking advantage of that longer afternoon, by all means, come see us and we'll make sure that you can get on the shuttle bus as well. So let me just briefly now go over the breakout sessions and kind of the nature of it. It's very important to stress that the breakout sessions are identical. So session 1 and session 2, the materials covered in those sessions are going to be the same. Raise your hand here if you're interested in just one program. Okay, great. How many are interested in 2 programs? How many are interested in 3 or more programs? Okay, that's not bad, but there's a couple hands there. Now listen, some of you might say, but if I'm interested in 3 or more programs, what am I going to do? You only have 2 breakout sessions. I need to emphasize that today is truly a preview, okay? Think of this as a start of a conversation. And all of our programs host a robust number of independent events really highlighting those given degree programs. So I just want to emphasize that don't worry, if you have 3 on your radar, you still have an opportunity to connect with our offices and make sure you get all the information that you need necessary. Another fun activity, who here is interested in sustainability management? All right, Dr. Steve Cohen is very happy to see those hands up. If you're interested in sustainability management, just remain seated. That is where your breakout session is. So after specifically the student panel, your breakout session begins here. I recommend stay here. And then who's interested in the MS in Climate program? This is the newest addition to the portfolio. Awesome, I love to see those hands. The MS in Climate program, you're gonna be spending a little bit more time with me up in the Skyline room on the 4th floor. Who wants the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program? Very nice. Maya Lugo is going to be ecstatic to see you guys. So your breakout session is literally just behind us here to the left. Who's interested in the MS in Sustainability Science? Okay, excellent. So you're going to be on the 1st floor, specifically in the garden room level 1. And then finally, who's MA Climate Society? Raise your hands, nice and high. Okay, I'm loving it. So you're going to also be on that garden level room too. So now, what I would love to do is welcome one of our esteemed faculty, the one, the only, Dr. Jason Smerdon, who's going to give you a kind of a warm welcome, and then you'll be hearing from me again.
Thank you, Alfred. Whoop.
No, go for it.
You good?
Yeah.
This kind of introduction that feels like it deserves a theme song. I wish we could work that out. I want to welcome all of you. My name is Jason Smerdon. I'm a professor of climate in the Columbia Climate School. I'm also co-senior director of education in the climate school, as well as one of the co-directors of the MS in Climate program. So I do want to welcome all of you. I want to welcome our faculty who are here and that you'll be hearing from on the panel in a little bit. I want to welcome the students in our current programs who are going to be here to tell you about their experiences, and we're very happy to have them here. And then, of course, I want to welcome all of you who are here with your friends and family that have come from very far away, in some cases, to be here. As someone working in these programs, I've taught in almost every program that you're going to hear about today. I've helped facilitate and manage many of them, and more recently, through my efforts in the climate school, we've designed new curricula and new programs that we're very excited about launching coming in the fall. And the reason why I'm going into that is because that's all very spreadsheet-driven, computer-driven. We sit in rooms and talk about this, but seeing you all here are the tangible reason why we do this. Looking at you, bringing your stories, your identities to the idea of coming and joining us here at Columbia are the tangible reason why we build these programs and why we think it's so important. So days like these are incredibly important and really speak to the promise of what we can accomplish through these educational programs and ultimately how you're going to go on into your careers. So why are you all here? Think about that. Reflect on it a bit. My guess is that some of you are here because you think that Columbia University would be a great place to study. It is. Some of you are specifically here, most of you are specifically here because you think that studying climate and sustainability is a good thing to do here at Columbia. It is. And some of you are probably here because you think it'd be great to live in New York if you don't already. It's a great place to live and learn. It is. But I think there's probably something more fundamental that brings us all here. Maybe some of you have heroes that have worked in the climate and sustainability space. Maybe heroes that you've read about, or teachers or mentors that have inspired you to think about this area. Maybe some of you have read news stories about things that are going on in the world and you believe that you can help to make things better. Or you've worked in various parts of the world and you believe that you can make things better. Maybe you've been inspired by specific classes, or maybe your experiences in your communities mean that you've seen people impacted by injustices, by unsustainable practices, by pollution in water and air or otherwise. And it's those people that you have in mind. Maybe it's your children, maybe it's your nieces and nephews, maybe it's your grandparents that you want to think about in what you are doing and to build a world in which those things don't exist. I would call that a calling. I think that we all work in our areas of expertise because we've all risen to that calling in the past. And callings are what Columbia turns into careers. Coming here and following that calling is your ability to learn the skills, the knowledge, and build the networks to turn that calling into change. To become change agents who are following that calling and thinking about how you're going to start here or continue here and then move on to find a career and a path to be real agents of change out in the world. That's what this is all about, and that's what you're thinking about today. So I want to encourage you to use that and reflect on that as you're going through the program today, as you're going through what you're learning about. I want to encourage you to kick the tires of all of these educational programs. Think about how they align with what you want to do and why you're here. I also want to reflect on the fact that the reason why Columbia is so amazing, and it is what it is because it's probably the largest, most diverse academic endeavor in research and education in climate and sustainability in the world. And so whatever it is that your calling is, there's a place for you here. If you want to go into sustainable fashion, that's here. If you want to think about finance in climate and sustainability, that's here. If you want to think about droughts, floods, and their impacts on communities and the injustices thereof and how we mitigate climate change, that's here. The offerings that we have here are incredibly diverse, and you're going to come in, and that calling that you have is going to align well with just about anything that we have to offer here. And additionally, you may also change that calling. You may get here because you want to do one thing and be inspired to do something related or different because of what's offered here. The other thing I want you to do is look around. Seriously, look around. The other reason you come to a place like this, with its diversity and scope and size, is because you're not just here to learn from idiots like me, but you're here to learn from your colleagues and peers. So Columbia attracts the best and the brightest in these spaces. in climate and sustainability, and you will have the chance to learn from your peers and network with your peers, many of whom are coming from all over the world, who have had careers that are coming back, who have been studying as an undergraduate and another master's program and are coming back. All of those people will be who are with you in the room. And that's a critical part of the experience here and something you should certainly think about, not just in terms of the degree that you're going to get, but the environment in which you're going to learn and the people that you're going to be learning with. So think about that throughout the day. Ask lots of questions. Please, ask hard questions of the faculty, of the students. We don't have anything to hide. In fact, we really want you to come here, and we think that this is one of the best places for you to do what you want to do. The last thing I want to say is you've got a wonderful program. Alfred's described it to you. But I want to put in a plug for Lamont. I'm a climate scientist. I do most of my research at Lamont. If you're thinking about going up to Lamont, do it. It's beautiful today. The weather's wonderful. Deserves some whoops. Cowbells? Cowbells? It's a great day to be up there, and we're celebrating our 75th anniversary, so you're going to tour some of the facilities, but then you're also going to hear from a couple fathers of their field. So Mark Kane is really the father of El Nino prediction, and he's going to be presenting the colloquium, which you'll be hearing later today, about his work in this space and how he learned to use prediction of El Nino to communicate to the world what the impacts might be and give communities advance warning about the impacts that El Nino brings. You'll also be hearing from Dr. Ed Cook, who is one of the fathers of dendroclimatology. He's a close colleague of mine. He uses tree rings to study past climates, has done work, for instance, on the prolonged droughts in the American Southwest. The American Southwest is currently in a mega drought. A lot of the tree ring studies that have been done to understand that mega drought in the past of the last millennium has been done by Ed and the data that Ed has generated. So you'll be hearing from him when you go to the tree ring lab as well. So you've got a full day. Take advantage of it. Ask lots of questions. Really endeavor to understand what we have to offer here. Try to put it all together in your head, and we are excited to see most of you here next fall. Thank you very much.
All right, so excellent. So again, I'm going to now take the rest of this time to just give you kind of a brief overview of each program that we are going to be highlighting today on the faculty panel, the current student panel, and of course through our breakout sessions. Just to anchor everybody, again, welcome to Columbia University. We're the oldest university here in the state of New York, the fifth oldest in the United States. And when you say Columbia University, you're referring to a major research institution. Think of it as an institution that's an umbrella, and underneath that umbrella are over 20 different schools, primarily graduate professional schools. Today, we are representing 3 of those graduate professional schools: the School of Professional Studies, the School of International and Public Affairs, and of course, Columbia Climate School. Columbia Climate School is the newest addition to the portfolio here at Columbia University. But what I always like to emphasize is that while we are the newest school, we were announced in 2020, we officially launched in 2021, by no means were we developed out of thin air. We were built on Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory and their phenomenal research, as well as the largest research institute that was at Columbia, which is the Earth Institute. In fact, 4 of the programs today that we are going into great detail on are all designed by the Earth Institute. So I want to just emphasize that as well. But I will say, if you think about it like kind of a recurring theme for all of our programs, what touches all of these programs, they're all mission driven, you're all change agents, you all want to make the world a better place, either through the private or the public sector, but they all touch on Lamont. Lamont researchers teach throughout all of these programs. So again, we are speaking about the MA Climate and Society, the MS in Climate, Sustainability Management and Sustainability Science specifically fall within the School of Professional Studies, and then finally the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy, which falls within the School of International and Public Affairs. This chart is, it just gives you a couple very high-level distinguishing characteristics. The MA in Climate and Society, for example, is a 1-year program. It's 35 credits. It's a 3-semester sequence. I will say we do offer a part-time pathway for MA Climate and Society students, but it's a very intimate learning community. For example, we welcomed 120 students this past year, and about 7 of them are part-time students. And we always have a fall enrollment start. The newest program and the only program in the portfolio today that is specifically a 2-year or technically a 21-month timeline is the MS in Climate program. That's 50 credits in length. And that's strictly a full-time option, and it also starts in the fall. Next, we have the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program. This program is a 1-year, 54 credit hour program. I don't want anybody to be intimidated by those 54 credits. This program has existed since 2002, and we have a really successful track record of making sure students find that balance in completing this degree and getting a lot out of it. This is going to be a 1-year program again, and interestingly, a unique characteristic of this degree is that it starts in the summer. And then we have our 2 sustainability programs. Sustainability management, the largest program in the portfolio, certainly within student population. I just learned that there's 500 students exact between sustainability management and the certificate programs that fall within it. That is a 36 credit hour program. And this program is truly designed for working professionals. Courses are offered late afternoons, evening. There's also some online course offerings. But I want to stress that anybody in here that's thinking about a full-time journey in the MS in Sustainability Management, you'd be joining a very large cohort a student population. I believe now about 1/3 of the students are full-time in Sustainability Management. And then finally, Sustainability Science, which is also a phenomenal program designed by Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory researchers. I call it kind of a sister program to sustainability management in that it's structured nearly identical, also being 36 credit hours, and it's also an option for both a full-time or a part-time student audience. Who here is interested in the sustainability programs and you're thinking about spring? You're thinking about January 2025 start? Raise those hands high. Excellent. Okay, we're very happy to see that. November 1st is the deadline to submit that application, okay? So you still have time, and you're going to hear some details during those breakout sessions. So very briefly, the MA Climate and Society program, this is an interdisciplinary degree program that trains professionals and academics to truly understand and address the impacts of climate variability and change on society and the environment. This program is what I always like to say, there's a very unique student audience here in that, again, it's very interdisciplinary, and many of the students that join the MA Climate and Society program have kind of this choose your own adventure path where their elective journeys really complement the areas of climate they really want to pursue. So we have students in the MA program and maybe they have a specific public health lens they're really interested in. We've had students cross-register in the Mailman School of Public Health. We also have students, for example, that are deeply interested in policy. You can cross-register in the School of International and Public Affairs. But one thing I like to know, I joined Columbia Climate School in 2022, and in March, I think there was 3 electives that were offered that year because it was a brand new school. This year, we're offering over 20 different electives. So increasingly, students are choosing our many different Columbia Climate School electives, whether it's in climate and food systems, we have disaster management coursework, we have a number of now climate and finance electives we're offering too, in fact, this fall semester. And then we have the MS in Climate program, and one thing I like to note that this degree program is the newest program within the portfolio. It's actually it looks like a 5-semester sequence. Technically, it's a 4-semester because you're only in coursework in the 4 semesters, fall, spring, and then the second fall, spring. This is the only program in the portfolio that has a built-in internship specifically. So if you're interested in an internship that's built in within the program, the MS in Climate's going to give you that, and that's occurring between your first and second year. Something that ties these 2 programs together is the Climate Core. So this is a signature of our Columbia Climate School degrees that regardless of industry or sector that you hope to work in, if you wish to become a climate professional, you should be anchored in this Climate Core. And so next year, our Climate Core will consist of climate justice, climate change mitigation and adaptation, of course, the 2 pillars of addressing the climate crisis. We also have a dynamics of climate variability and change course. I always say this is the kind of the physics behind climate change, and if you believe in climate change and somebody stops you on the street and then you say, yes, I believe in it, and then they say, why do you believe in it? This course is going to give you the why, and you'll be able to communicate that with different audiences. We also have a quantitative models for climate application course. Data is king, In fact, I'm surprised Professor Smerdon didn't highlight the data, and the idea of climate analytics data, by the way, is built in throughout these programs. They're all STEM designated programs. But this course is going to allow you to understand climate data, make decisions based off the data, tell a story on the data. And then there's a bit of a deviation between the MA program and the MS program. The MA students will complete a course titled The History of Climate Crisis, and then the MS students will complete a second quantitative course, which depends on which specific certificate that you choose in. So the MS students can complete either a Climate Systems and Analytics certificate, Climate and Disaster Management, or Climate and Food Systems certificate. And again, if you're interested in the MS in climate, I will be upstairs in the Skyline room talking all about it, deep diving. And then we have the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program. I mentioned earlier this is the oldest program within the portfolio. It's housed within the School of International and Public Affairs. In terms of this degree program, it's 1 year, immersive. I would argue this is the truest cohort program. You start here on the Columbia University campus in the summer when there's not too many students in the SEPA building. You really get to know that cohort of students. And I think what's very special about this program, and certainly you're going to hear this emphasized during the breakout session, but many schools offer a dual degree. You might have a degree in environmental science and then a separate degree in policy. This program is giving you that dual option in 1 year within a 54 credit hour sequence. And each semester is very thematic. So your first semester, you're going to be taught by Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory researchers. It's applied environmental science courses like climatology, toxicology. Your second semester has more of a policy sequence, and then your final semester includes financial management, and there's some additional options for electives. I think what's really special also about the MPA and Environmental Science Policy program is that there's a workshop sequence built within it that's a very unique opportunity. None of the other programs have this workshop sequence. So definitely, if you're interested in learning more about that, check out the website. In fact, they have 15 plus years of workshop sequences recorded. So if you wanted to see which clients our students worked with, definitely we have that information there. We'll then go into the Sustainability Management Program. And this is the largest program. I referenced that earlier. We have now 500 students exact built within this program. And it's the oldest program of this nature. So if you're interested in sustainability, I would say Columbia University, and specifically the MS in Sustainability Management program, is the place to study. In terms of this program, it's extremely flexible. In fact, there's over 80 different courses offered within the MS in Sustainability Management program, and you will be completing just 2 required courses within that portfolio. You begin your journey with Sustainability Management. Likely you're going to be taught by Dr. Stephen Cohen here, who's going to be in that breakout session. And then you will conclude your journey with a consulting capstone course. Again, what's unique about this program is the flexible nature. So you complete a certain number of credits in distinguishing content areas. I will say, if you're interested in the Sustainability Management program, an element that we should highlight that's some of you might be also looking at business schools. What's really unique about this program is we have content areas in the physical dimensions of sustainability management, so understanding the science of sustainability, that's embedded in the curriculum. And then we also have a public policy component that's critical. Remember, it's not just about the bottom line when it's making decisions, but policy also dictates your decision making. So I know that's the most popular program in the audience. Again, just stay put for that breakout session. We also have certification programs within the MS degree. Who's interested in certifications? Anybody want to raise their hand? Thinking about? Which ones are you thinking? Does anybody? Do you have one? Yep, that's the most popular, certainly, sustainable finance. So we have sustainability analytics, sustainable water management, and finally sustainable finance. If you want to dive deeper into these subjects, again, lengthen that time for this credential. This can be a phenomenal opportunity. Frequently, students begin the certificate and then ultimately really enjoy it and decide to continue into the MS program. One thing we like to note, the sustainable finance degree also has an option of completing it fully online if you were interested in that. So just a plug for that. And then finally, last but absolutely not least, is the MS in Sustainability Science program. I mentioned earlier we're going up to Lamont in the late afternoon. This is a phenomenal mission objective program, and what I really want to emphasize here is that it really integrates scientific knowledge in your decision-making process, both for policymakers as well as managers. This program is also extremely flexible. Again, if you're interested in a part-time learning model, this could be a really great fit for you, although we do have a number of full-time students as well enrolled in this program. And again, it's built off the content area system. So there's just 3 required courses embedded within the Sustainability Science program. That includes, you'll begin with Sustainability Science. We also have a statistics course that heavily utilizes Python embedded within this. And then finally, you'll be also completing a consulting capstone. And that brings me to now just lightly touching upon the deadlines. Again, for those of you that are, I'm just going to plug the Sustainability Management and Science, you still have time for spring semester. So if you're interested in that spring entry, the deadline's November 1st. If you're interested in fall, May 1st for the sustainability programs. And then the MPA in Environmental Science Policy, bear in mind that is a summer start program. Your orientation's the final week of May. You begin the coursework in June. We have a deadline coming up for early decision on November 1st. We also have a fellowship consideration deadline on January 15th. Anybody that is interested in the MPA in Environmental Science and Policy program should absolutely take advantage of that January 15th deadline. There's no reason for you not to, okay? You're here and you're doing your research. Take advantage of it. And then finally, the final deadline's February 15th. And for both the MA in Climate and Society and the MS in Climate, the priority deadline's January 15th, and the final deadline is March 1st. Priority deadline candidates are automatically considered for our climate schools merit scholarships. And again, I want to plug in and take advantage of that.